Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends, and once again, thank you for stopping by. So the next instalment of the speed run car motor comparison videos I've been doing. So this was last out using the cheap brushless combo setup, like £35 off eBay. It is a 9T motor. It's got 4370 kV. And we achieved some amazing speeds. So on the 2S run we hit 77 kilometers an hour, which is 47.8 miles an hour. That's quick. On the 3S run we achieved 96 kilometers an hour, and that's 59.6 miles an hour. That's the quickest I've ever drove an RC car at. My previous record was 54 miles an hour, so we've smashed that. So as I say, that's done with, and I have one more motor to try. Now this is the Madman. This is a hobby wing. It's a 6.5, so it's 5750 kV. So this is going to be a huge jump up, to be honest, because that 4370 kV on 2S kicks out about 32,000 RPM. This 5750 kV on 2S kicks out 42,500 RPM. So we're actually jumping up 10,000 RPM on this next run. So yeah, God only knows what speeds we're going to get. Now, if you've watched the previous video and the ones before that, you'll have seen that this car, because it's reaching these speeds now, it's getting much harder to sort of get the power down and keep it in a straight line, and most of all stop the thing at the end. I do need to find a bigger road, and I think I'm going to have to do that before this run. So as always in these videos, what I'll do on video now is I'll take this gear out, we'll clean the car up, and we'll get this new setup on. This has got a nice dinky 60 amp speedo, and it's censored. This was last in my TA-05R. I know this thing's quick, so that's going to fit in very nicely. And as I say, we've got the motor. I've actually got this came with a motor fan as well, so we'll put that in as well. Not that we're going to need it. We're not going to have any issues with temperatures on these short runs. So yeah, if you don't want to see all the sort of work of this coming out and this new one going in, then just fast forward to this video and see the actual running, and we'll see what we achieve. So let's get cracking. So this was a previous setup, as I say. It ran really well. Condition of the car just needs cleaning, there's a lot of dust on it. The belts, after I tightened them up, are running great. Just for you guys to know, because when I start these videos, I always have this tyre set on it. These are the actual Tamiya wheels and Tamiya super soft slicks with foams. Now they're not glued, they're just more for show. What I'm actually running is Sorex pre-glued with foams in, which obviously is a lot harder. Now the rubber's not that important right now because the temperatures over here are not high enough, and some of these speed runs I've been doing in minus conditions. But yeah, it was just to let you know that I'm not actually using these tyres on the runs. It's been this wheel and tyre on every run so far. Right, let's cut the tyre wraps and get this stuff out. So while I had the old gear out, I cleaned the car up, I've checked everything and it's all looking good. So I've just mocked this up how it's going to go. I kind of really want to use the motor fan just because I've got it. I don't actually think it needs it for what we're doing here. And also these wires are very short because it was in the TA-05R. But it is gonna fit in there okay, so that's a good thing. Problem with this motor fan is it's got this big alloy bracket, so I've got to kind of fit it all in one go, get it to the mount, because if this arm underneath the motor is too far round that way, it's going to hit the chassis. So it has to be kind of gently moved left and right so it's not touching the chassis, and also keeping the angle of the motor correct so the wires are not pulling, and it's going to allow me to stick that speedo down. So yeah, it's a little bit more involved than normal, but what I'm going to do is now I'll disconnect these wires and we'll get that motor in position. So that's the motor in. Unfortunately we couldn't get the motor fan in there. Again, not an issue performance wise, I would have liked to put it in. As you can see how the motor bracket works, to clear the plastic, you would have to have it at that angle, and there's no room at this side, and there's no room there because of the receiver, and I'm not going to move stuff around just to get that on. So that ain't going in, but again, as I say, no issue. So that motor's in, and that's the meshing. So it's set, it's nice and free. So we are good to go with that. So next stage now is to get the speedo into position, and I'm not too sure where we're going to put the caps, because there's definitely not a lot of room, and there's not a lot of wire. That's going to sit like that, somehow close to there. Yeah, that's not going to go in. Don't probably think you can mount it on the receiver either. Anyway, we'll figure that out once we get this in, so let's do that next. So what I've done is I've folded the sensor lead up here with the 2 receiver wires, just tie wrapped them out the way. I'm happy with that. As I said, the motor wires are great. Now there could be a looming problem here. The battery wires were set up for the saddle pack arrangements I had, so they've got the bullet crimps on the end. So I need to see if I have a Dean's connector to cut these wires. I mean, I'm probably not going to use those saddle packs again anyway, so I'm better off going to Dean's, and then I could possibly, if I do use those, do a Dean's too. I'll save these ends and I'll show you this end. So it's these gold plugs, so I could probably do as I say, a conversion later on, but I don't know if I have a male or female. Which one will it be? It's the male I'll need, so fingers crossed that I've got a Dean's connector I can solder on. Anyway, what I'm going to have to do is this switch and these boost caps, I'm going to have to just tuck away. There's nowhere to stick them down, so I'm just going to keep them to this side and I'll tie wrap them up neat. But what I thought I'd do was just have a quick play just to make sure everything was working. I'll lift it up so it doesn't vibrate. But yeah, it doesn't sound particularly quick. See, it's lighting up, so it's going green. So it's got brakes set up. So, going by sound, it doesn't sound very spectacular, but I know that's not how it works. So, what's next? So, yeah, I'll tie wrap these up, and fingers crossed, I'm going to have a Dean's connector to solder on. If not, then it's game over for now. Right, so pure luck, we have one new Dean's connector, male, that we needed. I've got some tube heatsink and I've got some of the larger stuff to go across both. Not sure if I'll get that individual heatsink on these wires. This is a very thick gauge wire, but we'll give it a go. But nevertheless, we've got it, so we can put the right connection on. I also tidied this area up. I mean, I know it's not great, but remember, it's only going to be in the car for 5 minutes. Although this is tie wrapped, I did just get some gel tape just to mount those caps on there. If that does come off, it's not going to flap around, it can't touch anything, so I think that's pretty much good enough, to be fair. So let's get the soldering iron warmed up, and then we can test it with a real battery, because I don't know if our saddle packs had much charging, whereas this thing probably about 85%. So yeah, let's get that connector now. So if you've never done this before, I'm not going to tell you how to solder. That's something you need to sort of practice on your own. But yeah, cut the 2 wires to length, bed the ends. They only literally need 3-4mm for these connectors. Obviously, it's incredibly important to get the positive and negative the right way round. But I'm not sure if that's the right way around. I think that's negative. But as you can see, you don't need to bear it a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tin these 2 ends, which just means melt solder onto the ends, and then I'm going to put solder onto both sides of the Dean's connector, and then we join them both together and let the solder melt, and then hopefully we can roll this heatsink up after that. We'll put a lighter on it just to shrink that, and that'll keep it all nice. So yeah, let's do that. So that's it, pretty much done. I must invest in one of those, I don't know what you call them, like, you know, the extra pair of arms. So you have like a couple of wires with crocodile clips on the ends that hold your wiring in place and stuff. I'm doing all this on the table and you can't do a decent enough job. Anyway, as I say, tinned both ends and now they're soldered together. I always just put some just black electrician's tape around each of the terminals, and then I slide the heat sink over to the top like that, and then I'll get a heat gun and we'll just melt that, or make that tight to it, and then that's good to go. So I'll do that, and then we'll plug the proper battery in to see if those other batteries weren't charged enough. Right, so that's it. So just connect this to the, oh, these new ones are always tight. So that's the connection, obviously, good lengths. Now listen to this difference on a almost full battery. As soon as I switched it on, I knew the other batteries must be dead because the fan's really noisy on this. Listen to this. If you can hear the fan. So listen to this now. Woohoo! Holy hell, this thing is gonna take off, guys. That is insane. Right, it's time to get it on the road, guys, and I'm a little bit scared. It's just because I don't want to trash anything, and like I say, the speed to beat on 2S is 47.8 miles an hour. I'm thinking this is going to be 55 miles an hour, maybe more on 2S, and God, I don't know, we're going to be high 60s on the 3S run. Damn. Right, let's get this out, guys. Right, guys, just before we start, I'm just going to run it on 7.2 NIM first of all, just because it's going to be a bit slower, because obviously it's less power and it's way heavier than a Lipo. So we've got a new road to try as well, because we know that these speeds we're going to be achieving are going to be pretty spectacular. So we're going to give this road a go on NIM first of all. Right, guys, so 7.2 NIM. GPS is working. Just make sure it's all going in a straight line. No grip, conditions minus, +3 today, and it's just sliding already. Right, let's take it, we'll see if we can, oh wow, something's not happy. Just take it up a bit, see what we can do, check for cars. Build it up pretty slowly. Well, that was underwhelming to say the least. Very smooth, but very slow. That cannot just be because of the extra weight and NIM, surely. That's flat out. Wow. Let's bring that in, see what that's doing. Oops. So that achieved 49 kilometers an hour. Something very wrong with that, guys. Right, guys, 2S time, and I can tell already this is full power now. That NIM must be bust. Right, this is going to be pretty insane. This is 2S, remember, so it's all about if we can get the power down. And there's a car coming, so just bear with me. Oh. Wow. No, not in the ditch. Right, guys, second attempt after a little crash. That only matched the last speed of 77, which I'm really surprised at. Let's try to get power down earlier. Oh no. Right guys, that run was 90 kilometers an hour before we ended up in the mud. I know I'm repeating myself, but just can't stop it. But we did get it flat out, so I'm just gonna have one more run on 2S. See if we can see if I can make it freewheel a little bit better. Right, here we go. Sorry guys, but very busy. I'm looking both ways here. This is a bit of a nightmare, to be fair. Here we go. No, didn't get my power down fast enough. Come on, Glenn. Here we go. Full lock, full brake. Right, let's bring it in, see what that measured. 3S is going to be the nuts, guys. I don't know if we're going to better get it flat out on 3S. Let's see what that achieved. I'll have to take the shell off so you can see. So there's no improvement. Can we get camera in closer? So we've got 90 kilometers an hour, guys. Right guys, we've just achieved on 2S 55.9 miles an hour and a few crashes to boot. So I'm going to stick with 3S in. I mean, obviously we'll probably break the 100 kilometer an hour bracket, but I don't think we're going to get it flat out. I don't know how the hell we're going to stop it, but let's give it a go. Right guys, here goes nothing. So I've moved a bit further down to try see if we can get this thing flat out, but you've seen how this is going. Make sure there's nothing coming. Oh dear. Right guys, we're at 102 kilometers an hour, which is 63.3 miles an hour. But as you can see, spoiler's been ripped off with that smash. I've also need to go back and find the arm. This top arm's missing, so the drive shaft's still there, but yeah, let's go back for a summary. Well guys, that was fun, not. So before I get started with the summary of this whole speed run project, we achieved on 2S 90 kilometers an hour, which was 55.9 miles an hour on 2S. 3S was 102 kilometers an hour, which was 63.3 miles an hour, but that wasn't flat out. I don't know if you could tell that on the video. That crashed way before that was hitting full power. Don't know what it could achieve. I would think another 3 or 4 miles an hour on top of that, which would take you roughly to, I don't know, 66, 67 miles an hour with this gearing. So we've kind of achieved what we wanted to achieve. Now, today and the last time, we've had a couple of tumbles and rolls, and I'm not into that one bit. As I said on the last video, I'm not about destroying anything just to get a few more miles an hour. The idea was to see what this bog standard chassis with a little bit of tweaked gearing, but it's certainly not a speed car, it's a bog standard RC car, would do through all the different motors. And we've done that. That was the 7th different motor we've tried, and we've taken the car from a standard 540 on 2S from 25.4 miles an hour to 55.9 miles an hour, and on the speed run 3S runs we've taken it from, with 540 again, 34.7 miles an hour to 63.3 miles an hour. I'll put all the different motors and speeds in the description of this video should you be interested. So I'm just going to do a quick summary of this series. The biggest problem I have is the roads over here. We have such long winters. Snow, ice, salt just sits on those roads and destroys them. So it's very difficult, 1, to find a smooth road, 2, to find a straight road. It's nigh on impossible, especially at the speeds this thing's doing now. Yeah, the car is now past the limit of doing what it can do, in my opinion. You know, the tyre, the conditions are not warm enough for the rubber. That's, you know, these are good Sorex tyres. You know, if it was warmer, we'd have more grip. Whether that'd be a good thing, I don't know. I mean, we'd get more power down, but stopping it, if we, it's not going to slide, it could grip and it'll just tumble even more. Damage wise, I've snapped a spoiler off, as you no doubt, so that's no biggie. And I thought I'd lost the arm off this wheel, but I've actually pulled it out of the cup. Now I have loads of spares for this car, so I'll just have to strip this down and put a new cup in it. But anyway, I mean, I think where I'm up to now is that's it. I think I'm done with the speed runs now. I've achieved what I wanted to do. I could go out and buy a 3.5 brushless motor now and a speedo for it. And one thing I should say, with this gearing and this motor, I mean, it wasn't flat out and we've done 63 mile an hour. If I altered that gearing, smaller, bigger pinion, smaller spur, with this motor, it'd be well over 70 miles an hour, just with that. And then obviously if you're hitting over 70 miles an hour and then you put a 3.5 in there at 70,000 plus RPM, probably going to hit 80 miles an hour. It's never ending, isn't it? And obviously, I know you speed guy Stu, if you're watching, I mean, this is your thing, buddy. Total respect for you. You've got I mean, he's up at 128 miles an hour, which is just insane. But I think I'm pretty certain Stu's in Australia, so obviously we've got the weather. They look to have better roads, or he certainly found better roads than I have here. So I'm kind of done with it now. We'll probably do another video with this, just stripping it all, because I've never taken this car apart, and we'll get it all looking nice again. Obviously we've got the proper Tamiya wheels to go back on it. Gonna have to sort something out with the wing. As of making this video, we're in total lockdown because of the virus, so postal service is pretty much non-existent, and these come from China. I do have I might try cut up a polycarbonate wing for it. I've got a couple downstairs, touring car ones, just to possibly add on, clean that shell up. The mirrors are still on, so that's one thing. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say on it really. I've probably missed loads of stuff, but yeah, it's been enjoyable. It's been different. It's been something I've always wanted to do. But as I say, when I get to the level of things are starting to break and destroy, then yeah, I'm not about that. The fun goes out of it. And I'll be honest with you, to be honest, even on the last run with the 5750kv motor, the fun had kind of gone out of it then as well. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's about all I can say on this, I think. So guys, I really hope you have enjoyed the series. Obviously I've made it all in like 2 weeks, so as I'm making this video today, I've only published the 540 video. So it'll be interesting to see what the views are like, if it starts to go down, if the views start to go down as each video comes out, because you guys are not that interested. But as I say, I don't kind of make the videos for you. I don't mean any disrespect by that. I make them for me and little projects that I want to do, and I just happen to put them on camera. So I think I'll end the video there, guys. But yeah, happy seeing, as they say. So once again, guys, thanks so much for watching. It's really appreciated. If you are new to this channel, if you could please consider liking and subscribing to support us. And if you do that, smash that notification bell for our weekly videos. And as always, guys, happy slower RCing.